It's time for a little comedy, a little content, and a lot of conversation. It's the Geno Jones Show, exclusively right here on YouTube. Now here's your host, Geno Jones.
Hey, what's happening, everybody? It is showtime. I hope you had a great weekend. All right, I am back, bigger and better than ever. The Geno Jones Show. Please check out the show. I want you to subscribe to the channel, my YouTube channel, or subscribe to the Geno Jones Show here on my YouTube channel. I do it live. If you're watching me right now, Monday through Friday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern. Now, if it's a holiday like on Memorial Day, I took the day. Actually, it was the Friday before Memorial Day and Memorial Day. But unless it's a holiday or something, or we have crazy technical difficulties, even then I push through. So Monday through Friday, normally 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. We're my guest, one of the bright legal minds in America, broadcast. Brother's got many receipts. As a matter of fact, I found out now that he's like the justice of the peace. He's marrying folks off. So he's got multiple skills there, multi-skilled, more skills, more revenue streams, multiple revenue streams. You got to handle your business. So I'm looking forward to having him on in a second. Please subscribe to the channel. You and everybody you know and don't know, everybody you like, you love, you can't stand, hate strangers, aliens, everybody on the 405 freeway, I-95. If you're on the Dan Ryan right now, the Eisenhower in Chicago, if you're on I-20, I-75, 85 in Atlanta, it does not matter where you are. Please subscribe to the Geno Jones Show and channel here on my YouTube. Please share, like, and binge watch every back episode. Let me jump off the show shouting out my Geminis stand up, celebrating a birthday today. Happy birthday, Damian Hall from Guy. Aaron Hall, lead singer, that's his brother. Damian is doing his thing. Damian Hall is 54 today. Former Clemson Tiger football star, and now a star in the NFL, the Atlanta, wish they had him, with the Arizona Cardinals. So it was the A that almost got me. He formerly in Houston, now he's an Arizona Cardinal, catching passes from my man, little Tyler Murray. Talking about DeAndre Hopkins, D-Hop as they call him here in the Kakalaki. D-Hop is the big 3-0. Happy birthday, D-Hop. My brother, handle your business. One of the best receivers in the National Football League. And I can make an argument. Half of the greatest music producing team in the history of the universe. James Harris, a.k.a. Jimmy Jam Harris, from the legendary, iconic Jam and Lewis, Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis producing teams. Man, they produce more. I can't count all the hits. They produce more hits than they got people in China. And you know, you got a whole bunch of people in China. So Jimmy Jam is 63 today. Happy birthday. One of the very first guests on the Geno Jones Show when I launched it a little over a year ago. So I want to shout out to a brother, Jimmy Jam. Have a great birthday, my brother. And then tomorrow, I'm working on something special, because you know whose birthday is tomorrow? Who's born? Well, somebody that Jimmy Jam knows very well. Somebody that actually fired Jam and Lewis, but we'll talk about him tomorrow. All right, let me get into my monologue, okay, so I can bring my guest on. So MAGA cult member and Senate candidate in the state of Arizona, Blake Masters, blames America's gun violence. So you've had 10 black people, you had grandmothers, and you had sisters and fathers that were murdered at a supermarket just buying groceries or helping people put their groceries in their car in Buffalo. Then you had 19 babies. You had 19 8, 9, and 10-year-old kids in a classroom, and 2 teachers murdered in Uvalde, Texas. We've had murders this weekend. We had mass shootings in Philadelphia. We had one here in upstate of South Carolina. You've had mass shootings at a country concert in Las Vegas. We've had them in schools, supermarkets, churches, you name it. But according to Mr. MAGA cult member Blake Masters, who wants to be in the United States Senate, that's why I said voting matters, elections matter. Yes, voting, because when you don't, you allow people like this dude, Blake Masters, to be in the Senate. This says America's gun violence problem is on black people, frankly. Now that's a quote from him. America's gun violence problem is on black people, frankly. It's people in Chicago, in St. Louis, So I got a solution here. I'm just going to go right to the chase. Here is my solution. If you want to get the AR-15 assault style weapon banned in 24 hours, this is what I'm going to help you. I want to send out a call to every black American. All right? Born here, immigrated, don't matter. Every black American, 18 years or older, to go out and purchase as many, do like everybody else, purchase as many assault weapons as you want to. I guarantee you that the MAGA cult will get together with the Democrats like they've never done before, and they will forget about an insurrection because they'll be worried about a different kind of insurrection, and there will be an assault weapons ban in 24 hours. I guarantee you. Yes. So, black America, all black Americans 18 and over, I suggest you go and purchase an AR-15. I guarantee you that will get that assault weapon banned immediately. You know how I know? Because there's what they call, and my guess he will explain what the word precedence means, but I can't explain it to you. It just means that something happened before. There's an example of what we want to happen now. There's an example of this law because something like this has happened in law before. So there's something called, there was an act in California, the state of California in 1967, they passed a law called the Mulford Act. And why did they pass the Mulford Act? Because the Black Panthers in California, because they could do it, it was legal, they marched to the state capitol in Sacramento, California, while governor at the time, Governor Ronald Reagan, you know that dude, right? He was the white Jesus before Orange Hitler became the white Jesus. Yeah, Governor Ronald Reagan saw all these brothers with they fly leather jackets and they tams and hats and berets and everything, and they came with their long guns, and they was like, oh shit, we got to do something about this. And they passed the Mulford Act, which basically said, I got my notes all in front of me. It banned the open carry of any kind of weapon. So you couldn't openly carry a loaded gun in California. So there's my solution. Oh, and by the way, for Mr. Masters, I'm a fact check, help you out a little bit with your education. So next time you make a statement like that, know your facts. So according to the FBI, the 10 most dangerous cities in America, guess where Chicago ranks? 31. Yes, 31, in spite of what you see on Fox News, fake news, Newsmax, One America Network, Sucker Forestland. I kind of flipped his name around. You know what? I mispronounced his name purposely. Yeah, that dude. Chicago ranks, according to the latest FBI statistics, not my feelings, facts. Some people will tell you, talk about their feelings. I'm going to give you facts. So Chicago ranks, according to the latest FBI statistics, 31. Milwaukee, Wisconsin, according to the latest FBI statistics, the most dangerous cities in America, Milwaukee ranked number 10. Albuquerque, New Mexico was number 9. Springfield, Missouri is like 5. St. Louis is 2. Detroit is number 1. Chicago is number 31, just for the record. Now, you can early vote in states all over America. Once again, voting matters. And when you don't vote, you allow people who don't have your best interest, who want to ban books, abortion, black people, and want to take away your voting rights, your civil rights, all of that, you allow them to get in power. And if you don't like the way people in power, I've heard people complain about the Democrats. Well, take over the damn party. Do what the Tea Party, do what the whole MAGA cult did. Take over the party, starting at local offices, dog catcher, school board, council person, alder person, mayors. I digress. So speaking of all that, I want to bring on my guest because he's got experience in many of these different areas, okay? He is a third-year law student at Northern Illinois University. He's the former Attorney General of the National Black Law Students Association, former vice chair of the Berkeley County Democratic Party right here in South Carolina. He was an air personality with me at my radio station, Star 99.7, and one at another radio station. I don't need to mention that. Ladies and gentlemen, it was my pleasure. And he's going to be marrying somebody off in a little bit, so I don't have a lot of time with him. So I got to bring him on the camera. There he is. Platow! Yes, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only Sean Mitchell. Family, how you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well, Geno. First of all, I know that the HQ of the Geno Jones Show is in Charleston, South Carolina. So I would be remiss if I didn't say hello to all the Low Country friends, family, loved ones, and haters. See, I'm still doing good. How's everybody doing? Yes, I spent 12 years in South Carolina and I miss it. It is my second and third home because obviously Chicago, Illinois is the base. This is where my DNA sprouted up. And I spent time in the boot, AKA Louisiana, Grambling State University. Shout out to those folks. New Orleans, can't wait to get back. And also, of course, South Cackalack. That is deep in my heart. I cut some of my adult political teeth there in South Carolina. Came as a hip hop DJ, and thanks to David Mack and Representative James Clyburn,
all right,
they heard me doing hip hop radio. And one day, after talking to me while engineering their show, they was like, "Brother, you need to come over to our side and talk politics." And I didn't listen for a couple of years. And so a few years later, I, launched thanks to the late, great program director at Star 99.7, after my hard work with the Obama campaign, the brother gave me a shot at producing the Sean Mitchell Show. And
Michael T.
Michael T. Rest in heaven, brother. One of the first entrepreneurs that I knew in the radio business, because this brother was diversified like Berkshire, and he did some of everything. And his legacy continues on with that family wealth that he was able to grow for his kids and his family. And so I just wanted to make sure I give honor to him. So yes, Geno, all the things that you have just spoke about, let me say this. I'm a little less rambunctious now that I am closing in on that law degree and my bar license.
Right, but that's what you got me.
Take a little bit.
That's what you got me for.
Measured look.
You can live vicariously through me. That's what you got your brother for.
And I do every week that I listen, and every day that I get a chance to listen to the show and binge, I listen and I say, "Wow, Geno can say what I want to say, but I'm not going to say." So one thing that you brought up that was real interesting, we were talking about guns, and I know we've had several conversations about guns. And so where I'm going to start is with Reagan, and then I'm going to move to Chicago. So with Reagan, a lot of people don't know, and you can see this on the movie The Black Panthers, or pick up a book about the Panthers, or just go look at the California legislative history. Yes, Ronald Reagan, a Republican, the same Republican that the MAGA crowd gets "Make America Great Again" from, yes, was an advocate of gun bans. And from the standpoint of when several Black Panthers showed up at the California, I think it's in Sacramento,
yep,
the state capital, while he was governor in the late 60s, early 70s, they had guns representing their right to carry arms on the government grounds of California. It didn't take Ronald Reagan, and that's Raygun. I get that from my grandfather. The funny part is the wedding is that I'm working on today is a few miles from Electromotive in LaGrange, Illinois. That is a union factory plant. And I used to go to union meetings, and that's what the white boys and my grandfather and the brothers and the Spanish brothers all called Ronald Reagan after he went against the union for the air traffic controllers. That's a whole lot of history.
Yeah, I remember.
You guys can look that information up. But Ronald Reagan was the first person, Republican, to ban guns. The NRA supported that ban.
Yeah, thank you for that. Yes.
And I think that's important to point out. Now, let's bring us full circle to today. Now, I know everybody talks about our great city of Chicago, and one of the reasons why they talk about it is that it's a beautiful blue collar city. It is Democratic blue. And let me tell you this about Chicago. Yes, there is gun violence, but Chicago's gun violence and violence is no different than anywhere else in the country. And let me say this, everybody points the finger at the Black community about gun violence. But statistics, as you quoted earlier, shows that people kill people who look like them and that they live close by.
Yes.
So, in a sick, twisted way, the white supremacy model in this country that has been in performance of this country since 1619, in modern times, created segregation. And by segregating where everybody lives, because 91% of Black people live around other Black people, which translate into Black on Black crime, which is 91%. But wait a minute, Hispanics live around each other at an 87% clip, which is their percentage of Hispanic on Hispanic crime is 87%. And white folks live around each other at 82%. And guess what? White on white crime is at 82%. So in some sick, twisted way, through segregation, they've created these enclaves of cultures killing people who look like them. So with that being said, let me tell you what's happening in Chicago. There are no gun factories in Chicago. So the guns don't magically show up in Chicago. Black people aren't blacksmiths with 1,000-degree furnaces in their basement building and making guns. These guns come from Republican states that surround Illinois, like the Indianas. A statistic showed that 76% of the illegal guns found in Illinois come from where? Indiana.
Just that one state.
Now,
wow.
Indiana, then
Iowa.
There's a percentage that comes from Iowa. There's another percentage that comes from Kentucky. There's a percentage that comes from Missouri. What do all those rings of states that surround Illinois have in common? They are right-wing Republican-ran states with less gun control than Illinois. So the talking point for the Republicans is always that Illinois has some of the strictest, and Chicago has the strictest gun laws, and look at the gun violence in Chicago. What they won't tell you is in surrounding states that have the larger white population with less gun control, that those guns are being trafficked into the Chicago and Illinois area. For some reason, they wind up in the city of Chicago in low income areas. And this isn't just magically. There are people who come from these states who exchange guns for drugs, guns for money. Hell, if you go search YouTube, you'll see where someone dropped off a box of guns, instead of dropping off a box of food in the Black community.
Wow.
or funding for the schools, or baseballs and basketballs and soccer balls.
Or baby formula.
You're a baby formula, job. They dropped off boxes of guns.
Wow.
So this is by design. Remember, white supremacy works. They try to play three-dimensional chess. So while we're watching over here, they're doing what they've always done. And so when I hear Republicans and some conservative Democrats make the statement and they use Chicago as the stepping stone, there's a lot of problems in Chicago. There are a lot of things that need to be dealt with, but the gun problem is an internal problem that needs to be dealt with, but the supply of guns come from outside Chicago. Now, full disclosure, I'm a legal gun owner. I own several AR-15s, shotguns, handguns, machetes, what do you call it? A slingshot, all of that.
Let me jump in real quick, Sean. Let me jump in real quick on this AR-15, because that was the main theme of my monologue. Is that story's been in the news. Now, you are a legal gun owner. You are very responsible. You have your family, all kind of military experience. You were a military brat, so you've been around weapons and people who do this professionally. Do you feel an 18-year-old should be able to purchase an AR-15?
Well, what I always do as a parent and now a grandparent, and as a person that 18 it was a while ago, but it seems like yesterday. I remember at 18, I was not responsible enough to own an AR-15. Hell, I would have opened a beer can with my AR-15. So I'm not supposed to have beer at 18, and I damn sure shouldn't have AR-15 at 18. They raised the age of smoking cigarettes to 21.
Yes.
And so what I'm confused by is why is an 18-year-old allowed to have an AR-15? Let me add, and this is going to run afoul of my liberal friends' beliefs and how I feel. And I take this position because when you gave your Nat Turner speech earlier about all black folks go out and buy AR-15, and that's what I'm gonna call it. It's a Nat Turner thing, and this is what scares a lot of white folks. And this idea that armed blacks are all of a sudden going to rise up and do to them what they did to us. And we don't really think like that. But what we are thinking about is we watch and see people slaughtered in a local grocery store in the black community. And let's think about this. There's not that many grocery stores in the black community, first of all.
Yes.
So it didn't take the shooter that long to figure out what grocery store to go to because there's not that many. I just want to make that clear.
Well, for the record, let's just say this real quick. He went online, according to all the reports of police.
Yes,
he did a Google search and looked at the zip code that had the highest percentage of black people in Buffalo and found out where that top supermarket was.
Yeah, and my point is that that zip code, that's probably the only grocery store in that zip code. And so even if he didn't do that, and he's familiar enough to know the borders of the black community anywhere in the country, there's only going to be, if you're lucky, one grocery store. If we want that, you could do a whole show about Inglewood where it's a grocery food desert.
Yes.
So it wasn't that hard for him to be able to target that. And with that being said, that gives me pause as to saying to black folks, you need to arm yourself. You need to get a CCW, and I'm talking about legally armed. What we should be doing is what I did with my kids, what my parents and grandparents did with their kids. When I say legally armed.
A PC, explain to people who may not be gun owners, what is that? You said a PC, what is that? Explain what.
A CCW, concealed carry weapons card.
Okay.
Some states, they have different labels for them. In Illinois, there's multiple processes to own a gun. Illinois and New Jersey are like this. We have FOID cards, which is a firearm owner's identification card. So you have to file with the state and apply for this ID card that has your picture on it, and you go through a full background check. It usually takes anywhere from 30 to 45 days, and it costs, I think, about $10. Okay, and you have to renew this card like every 4 years. Okay. So that means once you get this card, you are clear of background checks for the card. But when you go make a purchase for a weapon, then there's usually in Illinois like a 5 to 7 day hold on it while they send your stuff again. Even though you have this FOID card, they send it again to the federal government and through the state and through Illinois State Police. They run the program to check to make sure you're clear to purchase that weapon. Okay. And then you'll get a call from the gun store, and you're allowed to make that purchase. Illinois is also a state that if I want to sell you a gun, then I have to send your FOID card. You have to have the FOID card. I have to run a check through the state. I get the check back and it says he's clear. Then I fill out the paperwork. And then there's a process to transfer that gun.
Okay. That's
not happening in a lot of states.
No.
What happens in a lot of states is that I can sell anybody outside of a gun shop a gun. And that is what they're talking about, the gun show loophole, where I can go to a gun show in some states and they don't run that kind of background check. Now, let me say this. If I am not supposed to legally own a gun in Illinois, and Illinois, as a FOID card owner, it is known that if I go to another state to purchase a weapon, I still have to do the process. In other words, I'm in violation if I leave that state with that weapon. And most states know not to give me that weapon without sending it through the process. Okay. And so what most people are asking for is sensible. And this is where I agree. We should have background checks, red flag laws, And individuals similar to your license should have to qualify every 4, 5 years to be able to could be considered capable of owning a weapon, which means Illinois doesn't do this, but I believe there should be safety classes that a person has to qualify for, and then you have to store your gun properly. Now, this is where me and my Democratic friends and cohorts disagree, and you feel free to email me. We can have the discussion. I'm not for gun bans. The reason why I'm not for gun bans is because as a Black man in America, I realize that white supremacy is real. And at any point, being 13.5% of the population, maybe more, let's say less than 20% of the population, that majority could rise up. You know, you have the MAGA maniacs that run around and do all kinds of stuff. And so I believe in protecting my family and protecting my home, protecting my valuables and items. And so I'm fine with that. What I think needs to happen and what I believe needs to happen is we need to make sure we're dealing more with gun safety and making sure everyone is mentally qualified to own a weapon. And then these illegal sales, they need to be handled similar to how we handled the crack epidemic, where we gave people sentences. Or if you're a Black kid, Kyle Rittenhouse's age in Illinois, and you're riding in a car with 4 other kids and somehow a gun is found in that car, they charge you all with the gun crime and you do serious time for that. Whereas it seems to me that white kids 18 and under committing gun crimes do not receive the punishment and the penalty. And let me take it to another level. Michigan gave us an example of when families go out and they encourage this behavior, because they locked up a young man's parents for purchasing a gun that went and killed other individuals. And I think this needs to happen. As a lawyer, I know this is uncomfortable to have, and I understand the law, but I think the laws need to be crafted that anyone under 18 that goes out and commits these crimes and they're in the household. I know I grew up in a household with Black parents and Black grandparents. And whether I wanted my mama and grandmama to know what was in my room or not, when I was under 18, they went through all kinds of stuff. I could tell you stories about all the naked books and videos they found when I was a kid and stuff I wasn't supposed to have. So I find that when I used to hear my kids say, "Dad, respect my privacy," you know what I said? "Son, get a job and get your own place, and you have all the privacy you want." But when you're in my house, there is no privacy. And so I think that it's incumbent on the parents to take responsibility and make sure that they're doing everything that's correct as far as with these kids and guns. And then as far as the other issue with guns, no 18-year-old should have a military style weapon. And let me add, in the military, because I've been hearing this all weekend, well, we let 18-year-olds in the military have weapons. Yes, that's true. And I've been through basic training. And do you know what happens during basic training? Or when you're in the military, you're issued your weapon when you're going out on maneuvers and duties. When you go to the range, they issue ammo. And then when that's over, they collect extra ammo from you and you turn that gun in. You go on a base, there's nobody walking around except the military police with weapons. But if you're in Texas, you're safer on the base than you are in public, because you have people walking around with AR-15s. Now, I'm not necessarily against that if I'm in Texas, because that's Texas law, and I hold the people who don't vote responsible for that. But if I go to Texas, being an out-of-state person from Illinois, I'm trying to make sure I have the proper credentials so I can walk around with an AR-15. Because there's no way I'm going to be in Texas and everybody armed to the teeth, and I'm not. And that's why I haven't been to Texas since I was a teenager. Early 20s, when I was a college student traveling with Grambling State University during sports. I'm not a fan of walking into a gunfight with nothing. And so I would caution everybody. What I've noticed since the MAGA crowd and the Trump pansies took over government about 6 years ago is that we've had an increase in Black women and Black families becoming educated about guns and gun safety, and I always think that's a good thing.
Let me
It's
piggyback on
incumbent
that.
on.
Let me piggyback and jump in real quick. Sorry to interrupt.
Mhm.
The number one, the number one purchaser of new weapons by demographic, by age and race and gender, are black women today.
Yes. Black women are doing it big time. They the number one growers in wealth and finances, moving up in positions of power. The glass ceiling is knocked over, and now they arming themselves. So two things, brothers, don't piss these sisters off. Some of them are carrying pink Glocks. Seriously.
Yeah.
The second part is that yeah, you should be educating folks. I grew up in a household. My grandfather was from the country. And so one of the first things he taught us when I was about 13 or 14 was how to shoot a gun. My mother served 25 years in the military. She was a certified marksman in the military. And so guns are not anything to be feared of. They're to be respected and handled with care and safety. Like I haven't been to the gun range in roughly 6 months, but I plan on this summer now that school is out. I'm taking a few classes to spend some time sharpening my skills, making sure I keep my weapons clean and put up. And so I'm not one of those Democrats or liberals you're ever going to get on a show talking about banning assault style weapons, because I think that's a misnomer. And I think everybody needs to educate themselves on guns. But what we do need is sensible gun safety, because the gun barrage is out the barn. The government is not going around and going to collect guns. So I think the best thing we can do is hope for stronger, firmer gun laws, and at the same time, get training, get legal with the guns. And yes, 18-year-olds should not be able to own military. Well, I don't even like to use that term. They shouldn't be able to own rapid fire weapons, and that's just not the AR. That's the other thing. There are handguns that hold just as much in a magazine as a AR-15, and so that wouldn't necessarily stop some of the things that happen. It'll slow it down, but I think the best way to stop it, or at least make it as small as possible, is by reforming our gun laws and making sure people are qualified to own these weapons. And I think that's the most important thing we can do. I know I have a few minutes left,
right? So
and I know you want to talk about voters.
Yes,
stuff,
please.
So
I'll let you get that in. I know that you got a couple of minutes before you got to run. So go right ahead.
Yeah,
I'm gonna bring you back. So because we're gonna have this gun conversation. Because I'm for banning the AR-15, but I got a really unique way to do it. You kind of got an idea. It's like you're gonna have a period. All right, go and do what you got to do, and then we're gonna freeze all this. But we'll have that conversation, and then I'm gonna give y'all. Some of y'all don't need to have it. So here's some money. Here's a check. Give me that, because your ass don't need it. But we'll have that debate next time.
Right. We can definitely discuss that, because I think what's going to wind up happening, if that does happen, people that own them currently will be grandfathered in. They'll probably give a special license similar to what they do with people don't know you can actually own a silencer. It's just a process to be able to get it. And so you can actually own almost any weapon you want to. That's what people don't realize, but there's different levels of licensing. And when you get to the more extreme heavy duty weapons, that comes from the ATF. And the ATF does extensive, that's federal, FBI, everybody. And that's usually for law enforcement, quasi-law enforcement, but also gun collectors and trainers and different things qualify for that. So that's just a little bit out there. Now, as far as the voting thing, because that's really, really urgent. I know you and I talked briefly. One of my big concerns is that, yes, some of these states have passed laws to, slow down voting from Black folks and minorities and women by creating these crazy voter laws. But like I told you, I'm a little concerned that we keep repeating about voter ID and they're doing this and doing that. We know they're going to continue to do what they do. And until we vote in numbers to remove some of these people and get control of state government, well, like you said earlier, it starts local, from your dog catcher to your PTA board. Those are stepping stone positions to become a part of aldermen, mayor, state government, as far as assembly members, senators. And so the important thing is, and judges, don't forget judges. You should be paying attention to
Oh,
judges because
yes.
these things directly affect you more than your congressman, more than your senator, more than the president of the United States. And so, what I want to say to everybody in those areas where they have voter ID community groups, you need to get together and do canvassing to find out who needs an ID, raise money. Most states have an indigent law that if a person can't afford an ID, the state you have to prove your income and they'll provide that ID for you. But we need to take care of that now, even if you can't vote in the primary, in preparation for what's going to happen in November. The second part, which is the critical part, everybody, if you can sit down and read, watch TikTok and watch and do all these things and read about Monique and DL and Will Smith slapping Chris Rock, you can take time, if it ain't nothing but 10 minutes a day, to read about your election law and rules so you don't run afoul of the law. And while we don't have voting numbers in some areas, we can change that by getting everybody to vote. I remember, and I'm going to end with this. When I turned 18 in my household, one of the first things I wanted to be able to do was vote. Why? If you start taking your kids with you to vote, like my grandparents did with us from the time I was a little boy, all the way up until, 10, 12, 13, and I stay at home because I can take care of myself, that child will grow to love voting. Yeah. And once they vote at 18, studies show they tend to vote the rest of their life. Yeah. So it starts at home. It starts with family. It starts at your churches and your civic organizations, getting everybody out to vote. I'm not telling you who to vote for. I'm telling you to get everybody out to vote, because every year you hear the same thing. This is one of the most critical elections. And yes, each year they're going to get more critical because the MAGA sickness, the Trump pansy disease, is running amok through the country. And these people are registering to vote too. And so what I'm urging everyone to do in the sound of my voice and that checks out the Geno Jones Show, make sure you check him out online, check him out daily on Facebook, Twitter, on all social platforms, is if you are not registered to vote, register and bring 4 or 5 of your friends. Because 9 times out of 10, you have 4 or 5 friends that are not registered to vote. And if you are registered to vote, you should be asking friends and families, are they registered to vote? And take them to get registered to vote.
I couldn't have said it any better. Go ahead, go. We got about 30
when
seconds.
When the election rolls around, you should have a going to the election TikTok contest. You can put up the dopest video of them getting in the car to go down there and vote and do those things. And so I think that's.
I love it. All right, lost his live signal. I knew only had about 30 seconds. That's my man, Sean Mitchell. Thank you, brother. Always fantastic job. Listen, early vote in states all over America. Here in the state of South Carolina, early voting ends this Friday. The primary is June 14th. So contact whatever county you live in. They have a board of elections. It's usually called the Board of Elections or voter registration. Just Google voting in whatever county you live in. All right? You need to know that. And you get all the information about when you can vote. And check your voting status. Make sure your registration is valid. Make sure they haven't purged you. They call it purging. Kicked you off the voter rolls. Oh, too many of you darkies on here. Oh, we got to get this. And they'll randomly kick you off. Okay, so that's really important. Thank you for letting me be a part of your life. As always, God bless each and every one of you, and God most of all. Thank you for letting me do the Geno Jones Show like my friend. And thanks to Sean Mitchell. Sean is a third-year law student, Northern Illinois University. Just one of the bright legal minds. This brother's got an incredible future. Love and respect to you, Sean. I appreciate you. And tell the newlyweds, because he had to leave because he's doing a wedding rehearsal. He is officiating. He is going to be marrying a couple. As a matter of fact, a family member and her spouse. So congratulations to the soon-to-be new bride and groom. And may God continue to bless and have favor on you, and may he bless and have favor on your union and all your life, the rest of your life together. And we'll have Sean back on as much as possible. He's been in law school, like he said, this is his 3rd year, so it's been tight for the last 2 years. The brother's been putting in that work, getting outstanding grades. So God bless each and every one of you. God, most of all, thank you for letting me do the Geno Jones Show live Monday through Friday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern. Please subscribe to the Geno Jones Show right here on YouTube, like Sean said. Please subscribe, share this and every episode. Share it, like it, binge watch it, copy and paste, tag the link, send it to everybody. Grab about 30 seconds or whatever, 60 seconds of it, put it on TikTok, on Facebook stories, on Instagram stories, everywhere. And you got it right here on YouTube. Okay? You can grab your favorite part of the show and send it to somebody or put it up on TikTok or Instagram or Facebook. Feel free to do that. You have my permission. Shout out to Mr. Markel Bailey, the official barber and hairstylist for the Geno Jones Show. Check him out online on Instagram, Kelby Cutting Up, KELBECUTTINUP. Allie Jones, the official wardrobe consultant and stylist for the Geno Jones Show, along with Bruce Gage. Allie Jones, Lexi with 2 X's on Instagram. Lexi, 2 X's, LEXXIE.Nicole _ is that little dash at the bottom, design. So Lexi with 2 X's .Nicole dash at the bottom, line at the bottom, _ they call it, designs. And Bruce Gage on Instagram, he is Miglio di Mario Uomo. That's an Italian name. Miglio, check out his and Allie's, the drip. The collection of fashion is amazing. MIGILIODIMARIOUOMO. That's MIGILIODIMARIOUOMO. The next live edition of the Geno Jones Show is going to be tomorrow, Tuesday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern. I want to thank everybody. Hello, Mother. I can see your post, and I want to thank everybody for watching me live. Feel free, if you got a question or you got a comment, you can give it to me live when I'm on camera. I have a chat room, a live chat room open where I can read your comments and questions, and we can go back and forth, because I will do that. I'm the one for it. I'm your man. I'm your man. If you want to have this conversation, I'm here for it, okay? Until Tuesday, 6:30 p.m. If you missed some of the show, go back and binge watch it. Copy the link, copy and paste it, email it, text it to somebody, tell them to check out the show, or just grab some of the show, grab 60 seconds of your favorite part of my monologue and put it on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, or send it to somebody you know and like or you love, or somebody you just want to make their head just kind of explode off the shoulders, just drive them crazy. That's cool too. Thank you for watching, everybody. As always, please, please be blessed. Let's pray for peace. My God, let's pray for peace. God help us. Thanks for watching.
Subscribe and tune in to the next episode of the Geno Jones Show, exclusively right here on YouTube.